How you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm chilling. This is sick.
Hell yeah. No,
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you for pulling up. Tell the people who you are, what you do.
My name is Andrew Schur. I go by Schur. I'm an indie rock musician from Connecticut, based in New York City, and I make music.
Hell yeah. Tell the people more about your music, man. What you're doing, man.
What it is, and the inspiration, all that good stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up playing in a rock band, only played guitar with my older brother, Zach, who is here somewhere. And we played in a rock band from ages like 8 or 9 to 15. All classic rock, Led Zeppelin, The Who, The Stones, that sort of thing. Then I got really into hip hop and more into producing. And so the music that I produce now is a mix between the two. So a lot of solos and synths and things like that, but then also 808s and, all that hip hop influence as well. When I went to college, I thought, you know what, maybe it's time to put out a song. Put out my first song when I was a sophomore, and nothing happened to it. I was like, it's gonna get millions of streams, and after 2 months, it had like 600 maybe, and I was like, all right, okay. And so then I thought, oh, wow, okay, I guess I got to learn how to promote this. I've never been good at social media. So then I started getting into music advertising, and that helped a lot, and just promoting the songs on socials and on Spotify, and tried to grow my music that way. And I was able, thankfully, to quit my day job last year and start doing this full time. Thank you. That was always the dream. So right now everything is just icing on the cake, and I'm just grateful to be making music all the time. So I'm doing a song every 2 weeks this year, part of a mixtape called the Slowly But Surely mixtape. No pun. And that's the vibe.
Hell yeah. What made you pick that cadence for every 2 weeks? Because that's a big commitment.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what would work best for my writing style, and then also what's best for engagement. Probably 2 or 3 years ago, I think I was doing a song every 3 months, and I thought, this is so slow. I can't be doing that. If you have 3 songs a year, it's just really tough for me to practice finishing songs and practice promoting them. So then I thought, okay, 2 years ago, I'll do a song every 4 weeks. And that was already a big leap, but it really helped me practice producing and practice. The art of finishing something is a skill. And it's something that you can only do by putting the thing out into the world and saying, I'm not going to touch it anymore, which is very scary when it's so personal. But I think it's also, at least for me, necessary. And then 4 weeks turned into once every 2 weeks last year, because when I quit my job, I thought, got 40 hours a week more now, let's make more music. So I tried a few different things. I did 2 songs every 4 weeks, which was pretty good, but then I felt like one song would steal the spotlight from the other. And it was also hard to decide which one to promote. So then I decided, okay, I'm gonna do one every 2 weeks. That way I don't have to pick favorites. I don't have to decide if I'm gonna market one more or the other. It's hard to pick I can pick maybe my favorite, but you can't pick the audience's favorite, and it's never the one you think. So I figured this way, every song gets its time to shine, and I can see which one does the best, and then promote that more. So that's how I landed on once every 2 weeks.
Hell yeah. Diving deep into your creative process, I feel like you're an all-around creative, songwriting, producing, but also you do your cover art as well. Like you paint your cover art.
Yeah.
Tell us how that came about.
I've always loved doodling, and I never really had opportunities to put it out in the world just because I didn't really think it was good enough. And a few years back, I was drawing something and I thought, you know what, maybe I could use this as cover art. And it was actually the first song I ever put out was a little doodle I had as the cover art. And then I abandoned that for years because I saw a bunch of artists doing pictures of their faces and stuff, or, artsy photographs for the art. And I thought this must be the way to go. And I had given up on the doodling. But then inevitably it came back into my life, and I started using the releases as excuses to put my art out there. And at the beginning, I was very not confident in it, but I figured, screw it. I'm going to put it out. Everyone is an opportunity just to get better. Similar to the finishing song things, the more you do, the more it's just reps. That's all it is.
Yep.
And so now that I'm putting out a lot more music, I get a lot more opportunities to work on the art, and that's been fun. And I've been able to vary up the style. So a few years ago, I did all paintings with gouache, which is a really fun sounding word, and a fun paint that has a matte finish. So that's sick. And then I got an iPad, and I started doodling on that. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I saw someone on Instagram doing abstract art, and I was like, that's even cooler. So I've just transitioned from style to style and tried to replicate what I see other people doing. And I also have a bunch of doodles from when I was like in middle school, and I'll take some of those and draw inspiration from them and use that as cover art. So yeah, it's been really rewarding, because I never got to integrate the art side into my music until very recently. So
Oh yeah.
it's been nice.
Did you like art in high school or middle school?
Yeah. I loved it. It was one of my favorite classes. And then in college, I didn't take any art classes. But I was also inspired by my lawyer, who is somewhere here, Drew, is a phenomenal artist. And I went to his office, and he had the craziest art on the walls. And I was like, okay, this is a sign for me to continue doing art, because I figured I'm not really an artist, primarily I'm a musician, but that doesn't mean that you can't still do it and work on it. And yeah.
It's all subjective too.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I like this. If people like it, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But that part is for me. I took that for me.
Respect. Going back to when you first started making music, like what made you fall in love with the actual craft?
Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin?
Yeah, Led Zeppelin. I was in 3rd grade. One of my friends, shout out Bobby Paltoff, he came into school one day, and I remember very clearly, I have one of those flashbulb memories of this. He came in, and we were like 8 years old, and he goes, my dad introduced me to this band, Led Zeppelin. You should totally check them out. They're sick. And so I went home, and I asked my dad, who grew up in England in the 70s, if he knew who Led Zeppelin were. He was like, no, I've never heard of them. And then he opened up his record cabinet, and he had the whole discography. And so I started listening to them, and I heard Jimmy Page solo on, I think the first track is Good Times, Bad Times on Led Zeppelin 1. And I thought, well, shit, this is my whole personality and life now. I literally only listened to classic rock for probably 6 years until I was 15. I didn't like hip hop or anything. I remember saying to one of my friends, if it was made on a computer or with a computer, I'm uninterested in it. And I had that very narrow perspective until I was 15 or 16. And one of my friends said, shut up, listen to these guys. And he showed me Kendrick and Mac Miller and J. Cole and all of them. And I was like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty cool. Yeah. And so that bridged the gap between the two.
Hell yeah. What was it about that solo that like really struck a deep feeling?
It's just so raw. It's epic. I mean, the whole image of Led Zeppelin was kind of counterculture, and I love that. But it's just, I don't know. I can't really say why I loved it so much. Maybe it's because my parents, since we were born, had planted the seeds of music. There was always music in the house. My mom was always singing. My dad always had music on. He's been to probably a bajillion concerts, maybe a few more. And so I don't know. Maybe it was just, I don't have an answer to that question. Maybe it was just epic. That's all I got.
Respect.
That's all I got. It was amazing.
Man. It was the feeling.
Yeah. And it's a feeling I've been chasing for a while now. So.
Hell yeah. Talking a little bit about your music and your discography, Timezones. We have to talk about it. Biggest record that you have dropped numbers wise. What does that record mean to you?
That was a bit of a surprise that it did so well. It was produced when I had decided to do a song every 4 weeks, which helped me not get as attached to the songs. Because previously I would spend months on it, as I was saying, and then I'd get so attached to the song, I would be disappointed if it didn't do well. I would be elated if it did. And then when I switched to one every 4 weeks, I was just really cranking stuff out and making whatever I liked. And I had heard about these 2 islands in the Pacific that are, I think, like 3 miles apart, but they are separated by the international date line. So there's a 21-hour difference between these islands, which is preposterous. And when I started dating my girlfriend, who's French, she was in Switzerland, we had a 6-hour time difference, which wasn't too bad. But then I thought, oh my God, 21 hours, but you're 3 miles away? What a ridiculous scenario to be in. I got to write a song about that. So that was just the inspo for that 4-week segment song, and I finished it. I was pretty pumped about it. And then I put it out, and it just started doing really well. And I couldn't tell you why. Certainly wasn't my intention for that one to do better than the others. But yeah, I was really grateful that it did, because I thought it was one of the most interesting stories that I'd heard about and written. So,
hell yeah. You mentioned that Led Zeppelin was a big inspiration, J. Cole. Also, I know you mentioned to us a few days ago as well when we linked up Bob Marley too.
Yeah, I love Bob Marley.
How do you approach blending those inspirations but still maintaining your artistic integrity, like, still being your own sound?
Well, I would say because I grew up playing classic rock on a guitar, most of the guitar stuff is classic rock oriented. And then because I learned how to do the production side of things with bass and drums from hip hop, a lot of the production is hip hop oriented. And in terms of Bob Marley, on some of the choruses, there's just that 2/4, da, 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 and that came in there every now and then. And I never really had to worry about if there is too much or too little of one or the other, because some songs I felt could be more rock oriented, some could be more hip hop oriented. And then I just stopped caring altogether, and I was like, I'm just gonna make music, and whatever comes out, comes out. And that is how I've made some of my, I would say, more interesting songs, is stopping worrying about what the influence is going to be, what it's going to sound like, which direction it's going to go. But they invariably come out, those influences, because of how I learned each aspect of production.
Hell yeah. Tell us about Rock Cottage Studio.
Damn, he's done his research. That's crazy,
man.
bro.
Oh, man.
Rock Cottage Studio. So Drew, where is Drew? Our piano. Oh, that's Drew, the amazing artist and lawyer. But there's another Drew here who's an amazing pianist, and he's my buddy from growing up. And we played in this rock band called Papa Libros with Zach since we were like 10 years old. And then they went to college, and Drew and I were the ones left behind, and we thought, shit, dude, we have no band and we have no way to make music and can't do anything. What are we going to do? And we had recorded an album at that point, and we loved it, and we thought there are no opportunities financially for artists like us at that time of 15 or 16 to record, because it's just so expensive. So my parents have a landscaping business, and they had this like old storage shed cottage on their landscaping plot. And we decided to take the stored stuff out and put a studio in there. And we just started recording the bands in our high schools, and then bands at neighboring high schools. And then I think restaurants must have got word that we had cheap talent, because they started hitting us up for gigs and stuff, which wasn't the intention, but we were like, oh, $300, that's so much money to us at that point. So we started doing it, and we just started planning these little concerts around Fairfield County in Connecticut, where we were from. And it culminated in this festival called Rendezvous that we did in 2016. And that was a lot of fun. But it also made me realize I never want to organize a festival ever in my life. I just want to play music. Because I remember being on the sidelines, watching the people perform and thinking, God, why did I choose to do this? This was so much work, and they're just having so much fun. So that's when I decided Rock Cottage Studio, we should just stick to making the music side of things. But yeah, that was Rock Cottage Studio, and it's the name of the LLC that I put all the music under. So on Spotify and all that, it'll say like copyright Rock Cottage Studio. And I hope out there people are thinking like, ooh, what is this like elusive, exclusive label that he's got? When really it's like a shed in Connecticut with music equipment in it. So that makes me very happy, that hoping RCS can make it to the big leagues one day.
The legacy lives on,
right,
man.
Next to RCA, you know.
You mentioned that you are waterfalling a project this year.
Yes.
You're going on tour. What else is next for you? Also tell us about the tour too.
Ooh, I'm very excited for the tour. This artist DLG, who if you don't know, you should definitely check out. He's amazing. Invited me to do 6 dates with him in the US. And then we planned another show independently of him in Chicago, and then one in Montreal. So we got these 8 shows in May, which is a big step for us because we played in the Northeast, primarily New York. And we're very excited about it. We've wanted to do something like this for a while, and it's pretty rare for someone like me to get the opportunity to go on a tour like that, just because of the logistics involved. And being invited from DLG was amazing, especially because he was one of my most listened to artists of the past couple of years. I discovered him a few years ago, and I've taken a lot of inspiration from his productions. So it was a really nice full circle moment.
Hell yeah. Someone see you live tonight as well as on tour. What can they expect?
Well, they can expect a 5-piece live band made up of some close friends and some wonderful musicians. We got Vinny ripping on the sax, Charlie will be banging away on the drums, my older brother is on bass, and we got Drew on the keys. And 3 of us, Drew, Zach, and myself, have been playing together since we were like 9 or 10. So that's been a lot of fun, being able to come from Connecticut and do that and bring it here. And it's been a challenge at some times to translate the songs that I produce to my apartment with a lot of 808s and stuff like that to a live stage. So I think it's always interesting to see people's reactions of, oh, that's how they did that song live, or oh, wow, I never imagined that one would sound like that, because they sound similar to the recordings, but also a little different. And I kind of love that. On the tour, we're doing a mix where we have some with more like backing tracks and stems where it'll sound more like the original, and then some that are being done live or acoustic. And I kind of want to mix it up like that to keep the energy very sporadic. I'm not too much of like a backing track, do it to a click kind of guy. So we've always tried to, make it live.
Hell yeah. Also, we do have something special for this 4C. We've never done this before, but we made a collectible trading card for Schur.
They're sick.
Yeah, so it's also a NFC chip. So if you tap it on your phone, there's exclusive content. We went to Schur's studio. He did a whole studio tour.
It's a studio apartment, if you know what I mean.
So talking about all of his gear, he went through a few of his tracks, explained them, and some of this content as well is going to live on there.
And the history of Timezones, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Opened up the first file of what it started as. Did not sound like what it came out as, so that was fun to do.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested, it's going to be at the table over there.
Indeed.
Sure, where can the people follow you on social?
They can follow me at Andrew Schur on Instagram and Schur on Spotify, Andrew Schur on TikTok. Owen shouted out the Gmail. That was a big move right there. SchurMusic at Gmail. I'm out there. If that's your method of communication, I would love nothing more. And surprisingly, I don't know where that email is, but every now and then someone will find it and email me, and it's such a nice surprise.
There you go.
Because, it's like spam, 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 and then it's like, oh, Tyler from Chicago sent you a message. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, dude. Really got out of the DMs there. That's wild. So if that's your thing, SchurMusic at Gmail.
Respect. Sure. Thank you so much. Let's give it up for him and the band.
Thank you. And thank you to you guys for having us. This is sick.
Pleasure's all ours, man. Thank you, bro.